Sitaram Om Shakti. This is the one and the only Shakti Sundays with Justin D. Anthony. I want to say it's a pleasure and honor to have you locked on as I play all these divine songs and bring you teachings of the Divine Devi on this very auspicious Sunday morning. In the beginning, I want to say pranam and blessings to Meena Cromwell and my Akala family. I want to say pranam and blessings to Pujari Kabirdas Jitu, Grandma Rose, and all the devotees of the Sri Ma Kali Durga Mandir, located at 9266 Springfield Boulevard in Queens Village, New York. I want to say pranam and good morning to Simbo Sharon, Bharat Samlal. I want to say pranam and good morning to Sharon Ramrup. I want to say good morning and pranam to Ruby Dutt, Soma Ramnath, Kushma Lal. I wish to extend greetings and say pranam to all those watching in Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, the various Caribbean islands. I want to say pranam and good morning to all those watching in the United States of America, Canada, South Africa, the Mauritius, and elsewhere. Additionally, I want to say pranam and blessings to Wilbert Seacharan and family. On today's Shakti Sundays, we'll be focusing our discourse on understanding Hawan, and we'll be addressing one fundamental question. Can Hawan alone be your sadhana? Can a devotee, just by performing Hawan consistently, or let us use the term obsessively, gain success and strides in their life by just simply performing Hawan? Or is there more to understanding Hawan that meets the eye? This program will be focusing on Hawan, giving you a more thorough understanding of why Hawan alone cannot be your sadhana, cannot be your worship. So please do me one favor in the first place. Please share this link across your Facebook as we address another significant topic in Hindu spirituality. I want to say pranam and good morning to Christina Prashad from Florida. I want to say pranam and good morning to my grandpa Beta and grandma Chitra, watching from Letty Kenny and Guyana. Blessings to the both of you. I want to say pranam and good morning to Rita Albert. So as we begin our discourse for today on understanding Hawan and why Hawan alone cannot be your personal worship, cannot be your sadhana. As we begin our discourse for today, the Hawan at its basic level is making offerings into a fire, making offerings to Agni Devata. And then those offerings are transferred, are distributed to whatever deities or devatas they are meant for. That is what the Hawan is at the simplistic level. Everyone can perform Hawan. We understand that. We understand that point. But only when a person is competent in the Hawan may they perform it. Hawan is not this thing where you want to perform it with half knowledge, without the full knowledge of what is supposed to be done. Because when you do not perform a Hawan in its totality, being competent, and of course while in a state of fasting, it will surely and backfire on you. That is why Hawan is something you shouldn't play around with. You should bring a level of seriousness if you are going to perform Hawan. It is not all fun and games. It is a serious endeavor. It confers grand blessings. It can be transformative in the blessings it confers. But you don't want to play around with it. So the point I ultimately wish to make is, when you're doing Hawan, you have to be a competent person, competent in the performance of the Hawan. Understand everything that you have to perform. You know, there is one point of a Hawan that many Hindus today neglect to perform. And that is why they do not derive the benefits of the Hawan. Their Hawan is not complete. They do not allow their Hawan kun to burn out. Rather, they intervene. For you to have the understanding, the Hawan kun has to burn out in totality. Otherwise, your Hawan is not complete. It has not come to an end. You know, many people, they perform Hawan in their home. Many people have taken on habitual performance of a Hawan. That is, they perform Hawan every week in their home. They perform Hawan every month in their home. But we'll address this question. We'll address this question if that's something that they should endeavor to do. Is that something advisable for them to do? While Hawan can be very, very beneficial, while it can be transformative, when an individual obsessively performs Hawan, performs too much of it, let's put it in simple terms, performs too much of it, there can be particular afflictions. Your sadhana, your worship that you perform for your benefit, there is more to it than just performing Hawan alone. And as we go along in this program further, we will speak to how much Hawan should you really do? At what point is too much? And the reasons why I am making all these points to you. So if you have not yet, please share this link across your Facebook. But in the meantime, I wish to say pranam and good morning to Yash Mahabir Prasad. So once again, if you just locked on, I want to say Vanakam Pranam and welcome to Shakti Sundays with Justin D. Anthony. It is My absolute pleasure to have you locked on as we play all these divine songs and we speak about such an important topic in Hindu spirituality. So, my friends, for you to have the understanding, what is the purpose we do Hawan? The purpose why we do Hawan is Upasana. To put it simply, the reason why we are doing Hawan is to get closer to the deity. We want to be closer to that deity. When you perform Hawan, it increases the effects, it increases the extent of your chakras related to fire, that have that relation to fire. Your tattvas. Every time you're performing Hawan, it is related to that spiritual organ you find in your body that we call chakras. When you perform Hawan, that part becomes activated. You increase that certain part of your body. That helps you to become closer in one aspect to the deity. But remember, the human has so many other chakras. You have to balance out things. If you are performing Hawan alone as your sadhana, as your worship, you're just doing Hawan alone, that's it, you don't perform anything else. You are creating an imbalance in your sadhana, in your worship. There has to be a balance in your worship, because the goal of every devotee is, I want to become closer to that deity. I want to be closer to that deity. I want to creep, I want to crawl, I want to walk despite the resistance I'm facing and become closer to that deity. Whatever deity that is. When you perform Hawan, yes, you're becoming closer to that deity by elevating those tattvas related to the fire. But if you don't do any other aspects of worship, you're not going to become closer to that deity. To become closer to the deity in question, you have to do japa. You have to read stotras. You have to do other aspects of worship so that everything is in balance. Where there is an imbalance of your chakras, you do not become closer to the deity. So here, I'm trying to tell you that you perform Hawan periodically, but you don't perform it obsessively. Every single week you don't go run and do Hawan. Every single month you don't run and go do Hawan. Especially if you're not doing the other aspects. You're not doing your japa, you're not reading stotras, you're not doing other aspects of worship. Because it's leading you in one direction. It's not leading you to get closer to that deity in question. It's leading you off the road of your spirituality, off the road of getting closer to that deity. Everything has to be balanced out. When you only perform Hawan alone, that's a standalone practice. You're only doing Hawan. You increase the fire chakras related to your body. But the other ones are not related. They don't get elevated, they don't get increased. you become further away from that deity. To put it in very, very simple terms for you to have the understanding. You know when you have the teeter-totter that little kids play on? One kid will sit on this end, the other kid will sit on the other end. If one kid is heavier than the other, there is an imbalance. There is not that equilibrium. There is not that equaling out. The same thing when it comes to your worship. Your goal as a devotee is to be closer to the deity. If you only perform Hawan alone, you're creating an imbalance. The other aspect is not being fulfilled. And the consequences can be detrimental. So this is the point I want to leave with you. I want to emphasize to you today. Hawan is important to perform. Hawan is important for the devotee to perform. But it cannot be your sadhana alone. You cannot say, oh, I'm just going to do Hawan and that's it. You can't perform too much of Hawan as well. Otherwise it creates an imbalance. So why people are venturing into, oh, I want to do a monthly Hawan, I want to do a weekly Hawan, I want to do a daily Hawan and everything, you're going to create a lot of issues in your life. When you perform the Hawan periodically, and you perform it well, fasted and everything, you gain the benefits. But when you start running down this road where you're performing Hawan too much, past the limit, that's where the consequences will be detrimental. For every worship that we perform in Hinduism, we have to balance things out. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, a real-world example. When you are a devotee of Lord Ganesh and you're performing Ganesh Upasana, basically that's a fancy word to just say, I'm performing a devotion, a long-term devotion for Ganesh, because I want to gain the Shakti or the energy of Ganesh. I want to become closer to Ganesh. You know what the text tells us? The text tells us and warns us that you have to perform japa and the stotras of Ganesh before you even sit down to do that Hawan. Performing the Hawan alone will not confer the blessing. So the point I'm trying to say with all of this, to put it in simple terms, is for your own personal worship, I'm using the word sadhana, that's what it's called, your personal worship. All the things related to your personal worship. For your sadhana, my friends, it can't be Hawan alone. You have to do a little bit of japa, you have to do a little bit of other types of puja. Offering of water and offering all of that, so that everything is balanced out. When you do this mixture of worship, you do your japa, you read your stotras, then you perform Hawan, you know, where it is required and everything. You become closer to that deity. You're on the right road. This is something for you to have the understanding as well, my friends. I want to emphasize this point to you, my friends. When you are performing Hawan, which is such a sacred thing to perform, which is such a serious endeavor for you to perform. You have to perform it while you have fasted properly. And this would also include you cannot go to a burial ground. You cannot go to a cremation ground and everything and take part in a person's, funeral and everything. People go to a funeral and they take that little piece of dirt and they put it on the body and everything. Or they go to a funeral and they spray perfume on the deceased person and everything. If you are going to partake in such things and contaminate yourself with negative energy, you cannot go run and go do hawan. Your body is not in a proper state. And there will be detrimental consequences if you perform a hawan doing so. Can I give you a little story today? A little story that speaks to this. There was a man once. He went to a burial ground to witness, somebody getting buried and everything. He came home on that same night and performed hawan. And he's a right-handed person. He performed the hawan even though he was not supposed to perform it. The next few days, the same hand that he performed the hawan became injured in a cast. There was a lashback because he didn't perform the hawan in a proper state. This is why I'm telling you, my friends, this is why I'm emphasizing to you, my friends. You need to perform hawan when you're in the proper state. Fasting, of course. And of course, your body has to be in that pure state. You cannot go to inauspicious places like funerals and cremations and everything and then go run and go do hawan. Do auspicious acts like hawan. When it comes to hawan, you will not get off. You sit down in that hawan in an improper state. You sit down in the hawan when you know very well you're not supposed to do it. You will see the force of Agni Devata. Agni doesn't play. Just like what happened in this story, this little story, the person performed the hawan with the right hand. He knew he should not have performed that hawan. Couple days after, his hand is in a cast. I want to say pranam and good morning to Usha Sicharan, Radha Dipo, Devika Mahabir, Doris Diaram. I want to say pranam and good morning to Monica G. Rupnarayan. I want to say pranam to Bagmati Arjun Rupnarayan, Simbo Sharon, Bharat Samlal, Nanda Rupnarayan, Alicia Bacchus and family. And if I happen to miss your name or greeting, I do humbly apologize. But I want you to know that I appreciate you tuning in and being a part of the Shakti Sundays family. As we go along in the program further, we'll speak more about hawan. And for those who perform, their personal hawan periodically, they're competent and they can perform their hawan. We'll speak later on in the program about what mantra should you use to do hawan. And I'll explain why. But in the meantime, this is a song in glorification of the Divine Mother.
जगदम्बा की करो आरती, देवी माँ की करो आरती, जगदम्बा की करो आरती, देवी माँ की करो आरती। भारत भारत जन, आओ प्रति भारत भारत जन, आओ भारत प्रभारती, माँ जगदम्बा की करो आरती, देवी माँ की करो आरती, माँ जगदम्बा की करो आरती। हरियाली धरती की ठानी, हरियाली धरती की ठानी, उषा संध्या कुमकुम लाली, उषा संध्या कुमकुम लाली, दीप सिका हर एक कली की, दीप सिका हर एक कली की, सूरज की किरणों ने वाली, सूरज की किरणों ने वाली। आओ प्रति भारत भारत जन, आओ भारत प्रभारती, माँ जगदम्बा की करो आरती, देवी माँ की करो आरती, माँ जगदम्बा की करो आरती। मानस मंदिर हो जियारा, मानस मंदिर हो जियारा, मानो की मानो हो प्यारा, मानो की मानो हो प्यारा। सब सुख आए सब दुख जाए, सब सुख आए सब दुख जाए, शीर सिंधु हो सागर खारा, शीर सिंधु हो सागर खारा। आओ प्रति भारत भारत जन, आओ भारत।
So the point I have reinforced throughout this program so far is Hawan alone cannot be your sadhana. It cannot be your worship. You can perform Hawan periodically if you're a competent person in the Hawan. And of course you have fasted, you're in a proper state. However, there has to be a balance of your chakras, as I've emphasized so far. The word for that is Bhuta Shuti. That means the balance of your chakras. For you to become close to that deity, you have to have Bhuta Shuti. You can't just perform Hawan alone and you become close to the deity. You do japa, you do other forms of worship. You cook food and you share it to people. That is another aspect of worship in the name of that deity. You perform offerings to the deity, not for your personal benefit, but to strengthen the force of that deity in the universe, in the material plane. You make offerings, you do worship, just simply for Dharma. These are all different methods of worship and to balance out your chakras. The sharing of food, the cooking of food and the sharing of food plays an important role in your sadhana and in becoming closer to the deity you're trying to become closer to. Whether that is called Bhaira, whatever deity it is. When you're performing worship, so many of our texts tell us, when you're performing these high-level forms of devotion, on fasting for long periods of time, if you do not feed people, it is incomplete. It is as though the worship was never performed. It is without merit. So these are all points for you to have, my friends. Worship alone is not just doing Hawan. And you're not going to gain very much success in life. You're going to run into a lot of issues in life if you just think Hawan alone is all I'm going to perform. Hawan is a high-level form of devotion. When you perform it and you absorb that energy, your body needs time to process it. Your body needs time to kind of make sense of things. If you're performing Hawan every single day, where is the time in which your body gets to absorb that energy, process everything? The people who obsessively perform Hawan, they are in this mental state of chaos. You perform your Hawan periodically, but not on a daily basis, maybe not even on a monthly basis. You know, the Navratri is coming up. Of course, our texts specify in this period of time, it is permitted to do a Hawan. These are one of the cases where the performance of Hawan on a daily is permitted. It is even suggested. But to simply say that we can perform Hawan every single day in general is not advisable. So let us now come to a question. Okay, I want to perform Hawan for myself. I am a competent person. I understand that I can fast. I understand how to do the Hawan, all the steps, all the ingredients that is required. So periodically, every couple of months or so forth, I want to do a Hawan for myself, for my own self, my own, my own sadhana, my own worship. What mantra should I use? For the performance of this Hawan, what mantra should I use? This comes back to your Ishta Devata. Whoever is your Ishta Devata, you should have a mantra related to that deity. And that is the mantra you focus on. That is the mantra you pray every single day. If you can't pray to the other deities and everything, you always do your japa for that deity. Your Ishta Devata and the mantra that you have related to your Ishta Devata, that is the deity, that is the mantra you should use when you're doing Hawan for your own purposes. But why? Why am I telling you this? There are many mantras. There are many beautiful mantras. There are many beautiful uplifting mantras. You hear someone will tell you this mantra can do this, that mantra confers this benefit. But why should, for my own purposes, I should only do Hawan with the mantra of my Ishta Devata rather than the others? And it comes back to a simple understanding. For most devotees, you do not need to perform a whole set of different mantras. You have a single mantra for related to your Ishta Devata, and you practice that. And that mantra will unlock the doors, all the unlocked doors in your path. That single mantra will be an all-purpose mantra that will fix everything in your life. You strengthen that mantra. You do Hawan with that mantra periodically to strengthen that force, that influence of the mantra in your life. And you will see, the more you use that mantra, the more you do jap, the more, when given, when permitted, you do your Hawan with that mantra. You'll see the gates open up in reference to the opportunities of life. When you watch the Chinese movies, the karate movies, who do you fear? Who is more powerful? The karate man that performs 20,000 different kicks? Or do you see that the power is held by the karate man that performs one kick 20,000 times? It is the man that performs that singular kick 20,000 times who is more powerful than the person that performs 20,000 different kicks. And this is the same thing with your sadhana. The same thing when it comes to your Hawan, when you're performing for your own purposes. You use one single mantra related to your Ishta Devata. You strengthen that mantra by performing the Hawan occasionally, and that mantra will do miracles, that mantra will do everything for you. In today's world, people are in a state of confusion. People are all over the place in Hinduism. They're performing this mantra, that mantra, this mantra, that mantra. And they're not seeing their way. Because they're not performing the correct mantra. You have an Ishta Devata. Everyone in Hinduism has an Ishta Devata. And there is a particular mantra for you to use, that is correct for you to use. When you strengthen that mantra in your life, everything is fixed. Everything with time is fixed. But how do you know who is your Ishta Devata? How do I know what mantra it will be? This is where the Guru comes in, or the deity comes in. The Guru should have the power to recognize, to look at you, and have the intuition who is your Ishta Devata. They should be able to look at you and say that, okay, for example, Kalbhairav is your Ishta Devata. This is the mantra for Kalbhairav for you. So the Guru can see who is your Ishta Devata, and the Guru knows what is the mantra for you. The deity will influence that Guru to give you that mantra. This is how these things work. The second possibility on how you can get the mantra for your Ishta Devata is, and how you can come to know your Ishta Devata. Every single morning you wake up, cleanse yourself, you bathe and everything. You take a diya, you light it. You hold a diya in your hand and you pray. You do not know who is your Ishta Devata. You hold a diya in your hand and you pray. You pray to Lord Ganesh in particular. You say, "Oh Ganesh, I do not know who is my Ishta Devata. I do not know the mantra for my Ishta Devata. But I am in search of that Ishta Devata. I am in search of the missing part of my sadhana. You arti Lord Ganesh with that diya, and with time you will find out who your Ishta Devata is, and someone or something will happen, and you will find the right mantra for yourself. These are how this is how you find your Ishta Devata and how you find the mantra that is right for you. The Guru can tell you, or if you do not have a Guru, you light a diya for Lord Ganesh. Remember, Lord Ganesh, when you have an issue in your life and you need a solution, he goes out of his way to find the solution for the devotee. He seeks the answers for the devotee. That is why we call him Dundaraj, the one who goes out and seeks for the devotee. When the devotee is in a state of ignorance, when the devotee doesn't know, the devotee is in a state where they need to be rescued. The devotee is in search of knowledge, in search of the answers of their life. Lord Ganesh comes and finds it for them. So to bring it back to our discourse, for your own personal worship, when you're performing Hawan every couple of months or whatever it is, periodically, as I say, you pray with you do the Hawan with your the mantra of your Ishta Devata. You strengthen that mantra. You can also strengthen that mantra, strengthen the force of that Ishta Devata in your life by doing something very, very simple. Making donations of food to people who are in need. Buying some groceries for people that are in need. In the name of your Ishta Devata. That also strengthens the force of the Ishta Devata in your life. When you donate water, as we know, all the texts are telling us, all the texts are indicating, suggesting, and implying to us. When you donate water, it is a grand blessing. When you donate water in the name of your Ishta Devata, for the purpose of your Ishta Devata, to strengthen the force of your Ishta Devata in this material plane today, that strengthens the force too. These are all ways, my friends, that help you with your sadhana, your personal worship. I want to say pranam and good morning to Harachan Dennis Ramnath. I want to say pranam and good morning to Annie Morgan. I want to say pranam and blessings to my sister Vanny.
Jai ho, Pahala wali maa. Jai ho, Oladda
I want to say pranam to Indira Molai. I want to say pranam to Shirley Lochin as well. I wish to take this opportunity to pause and say, the Sri Mahakali Durga Mandir located at 9266 Springfield Boulevard in Queens Village, New York, cordially invites you and your family to join them for the upcoming Navratri. Come out and receive the darshan of the Divine Mother. Come out and experience the bliss of the Divine Mother during her time, the Navratri. They'll be having service from March 19 to March 27, every night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Additionally, they'll be having Kalbhairav Puja on March 28 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Once again, the Sri Mahakali Durga Mandir extends an invite to all devotees to join them from March 19th to March 28th for their Navratri celebrations. Come out and receive the blessings of the Divine Devi. For more information on Navratri celebrations at the Sri Mahakali Durga Mandir, please contact Pujari Kavirdas Jitu at 917-929-7150. That's Pujari Kavirdas Jitu at 917-929-7150 for more information.
Shivaya Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya Namo Namah. Shivaji ki mandir, Shivaji ki mandir, Shivaji ki mandir mein aao baito japo Hari Naam. Shivaji ki mandir mein aao baito japo Hari Naam. Shivaji ki mandir mein सोना के अर मूर्ति बनी है, सोना के अर मूर्ति बनी है सीता और श्री राम. शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम. शिवजी की मंदिर में शिवजी की मंदिर, शिवजी की मंदिर, शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम. शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम. शिवजी की मंदिर में ओम नमः शिवाय नमो नमः. 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 आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम. शिवजी की मंदिर में तुलसीदास बजो भगवाना, तुलसीदास बजो भगवाना, लक्ष्मण और हनुमान. शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम. शिवजी की मंदिर में शिवजी की मंदिर, शिवजी की मंदिर, शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम. शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ भाई तो जपो हरि नाम शिवजी की मंदिर में शिवजी की मंदिर शिवजी की मंदिर शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ भाई तो जपो हरि नाम शिवजी की मंदिर में आओ भाई तो जपो हरि नाम शिवजी की मंदिर में ओम नमः शिवाय नमो नमः 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 ओम नमः शिवाय नमो नमः
This song is in glorification of Muni Spring Baba. Muni Spring Baba, he appears to the devotee, whether it is in a dream or whether it is in a spiritual form. He wears a white turban and he appears to the devotee. That form that they often see of him being a young individual, a young man, where he wears the white turban. That is the form of Muni Spring Baba called Jada Muni. Jada Muni is the form of Muni Spring Baba who removes the enemies in the life of the devotee. Those who wish to halt the progress of the devotee. It is that form of Muni Spring Baba who destroys all their nefarious plans and permits and allows the devotee to prosper so that no enemy may halt their progress.
Swami शिवाय अप्पा संगाली करपो
योगी बाबा की कंगली बाबा की आओ आओ डी हवा तू बैठो मोरे आंगन में डी बाबा हो आओ आओ डी हवा तू बैठो मोरे आंगन में डी बाबा हो कि आओ बैठो मोरे आंगन में डी बाबा हो कि आओ बैठो मोरे आंगन में डी बाबा हो बाबा दी हवा तू कर ले दिन रातिया के दी बाबा हो दी बाबा दी हवा तू कर ले दिन रातिया के दी बाबा हो कि जाए सोहे पर के दिहुआ हमारी ना कि जाए सोहे पर के दिहुआ हमारी ना ना माने मने ले दिया बना ही मान हो ना माने मने ले दिया बना ही मान हो के दिहवा मान लो मने के दिहवा ना ही मान हो के दिहवा मान लो मने के दिहवा ना ही मान हो कटिया के घोड़वा दिहवा तूने के लगानिया के काहे छड़के ना कटिया के घोड़वा दिहवा तूने के लगानिया के काहे छड़के ना हदिया बाबा चूमेला से बनवा के काहे छड़के ना हदिया बाबा चूमेला से बनवा के काहे छड़के ना
As you know, in every program that I do, I like to share a little story that can help to enlighten us about Hindu spirituality and indeed how to navigate the world that we live in today. Today's discourse has focused on the topic of Hawa. As we have spoken about, Hawan cannot be your standalone sadhana. If you just simply perform Hawan alone, you will put yourself in many issues. If you're performing Hawan on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and not doing anything in addition, you will put yourself in a lot of issues. You're gonna put yourself in a hole. As I've discussed earlier on in the program, when you're performing Hawan for your own personal reasons, it should be for your Ishta Devata. With the mantra of your Ishta Devata, everyone has an Ishta Devata. The Guru can tell you who is the Ishta Devata and what is the mantra for you to use. Or if you pray to Lord Ganesh, light a diya every single day for him, he will go out and he will show you who is your Ishta Devata and what is the mantra for you to use in your worship. The mantra for everyone is different. There are universal mantras to pray with, but every individual, there is a mantra for them. And that mantra unlocks the doors in reference to their life. It fixes all the issues. It is the doctor. It is the all solution for their lives. As I've discussed in this program, you must only perform Hawan when you're in a state of fasting. You must not go to places such as burial grounds and cremation grounds and then perform Hawan. Otherwise, there are bad consequences. Agni will show you his force. So to bring it to today's story, my friends, I want to tell you something here today for you to have the understanding. You know, there is an old saying, when a lamp is lit, someone can use the light of that lamp to rob someone. Or someone can use the light of that lamp to read, to study, and to become someone. The light can be used for good, and it can be used for nefarious purposes as well. This fits into our discourse by saying that the same Agni that we light to perform a Hawan can be used to help you, to heal you. But by the same token, it can be used to harm. Someone can perform what we call a negative prayoga using the Hawan. So it brings me to one story. People in today's world, they believe too much in the pundits, they believe too much in the swamis. And what I'm speaking about is that they believe too much that these people, just by virtue of the position that they hold, the image that they put out, that they are good people. By just simply putting the name Swami or Pandit before their name, they are good-natured people. They wouldn't hurt a fly. But in this world today, my friends, increasingly, you cannot trust any Swami and any Pandit. Very few of them are worthy. That is controversial for me to say, but that is the reality of the world that we live in today. These men pander as Pandits and as Swamis. They pander as divine men, when in fact they are goblins and goons behind the mask that they have put out. So to relate it back to our discourse for today, there is a little story, my friends. Once a Pandit came to perform a Hawan in a home. Everything was going well, everything was going right. And when this Pandit performed the Hawan in their home, everything in their home went dark. The Hawan blights them, took away all the auspicious energies. The pundit, which they believe was a good man, came to ruin them and rob them. So here I want to leave you with a very, very simple lesson today for you have to have the understanding. Be very, very careful, devotee. Be very, very careful, my friends. When you bring people into your home to perform Hawan, it is better, it is far better, my friends, to become competent in the Hawan and perform it for yourself periodically than to bring anyone to perform a Hawan for you. These men today, they come and perform Hawan only to blight you and do nefarious things to you. Remember, as I said, the same light a person can use to read is the same light someone can use to rob. That same Agni can be used in nefarious ways. So be careful, devotee, who you bring into your home to perform Hawan. These men are nefarious. They come to perform the Hawan and they blight you. And you don't know. They take out all the auspicious energy. They are just simply lowlifes, pandering as divine men. It includes pujaris as well. These divine men, let's just put it out and say divine men. Some of them as well. So what I'm trying to say to you is, my friends, is try to learn how to perform the Hawan and try to become competent in your Hawan. And periodically, every 4 months, a couple times through the year, you can perform it in your home. But when you perform it in your home, you're performing it as a shanti. Every 4 months, or maybe once a year, or twice a year or something, that is permissible, that is okay. There's not too much room at that point to mess up things. Be very, very cautious on bringing people into your home with promises. So these swamis and pundits and all these other categories of people, whom can you trust today, my friends? There's a little story. A swami. There's a little story that a swami, a very, man people respect, a man who wears, all these divine clothing and everything. He was a nefarious man. He sent a priest, to kill a devotee. He sent a priest to kill a devotee. And when this priest entered the home of the devotee, the priest stopped and saw that the devotee was a devotee of Lord Ganesh. The priest spoke to the person in question and said, I was sent here to kill you, to destroy you. But I see that you are a devotee of Lord Ganesh. And I was once a devotee of the same Lord. I will not kill you. I will not carry out this plan. So the point I want to make in saying this again is, these pundits, these swamis, these characters, some even the pujaris, you have to tread carefully in reference to them. Because these men, many of them perform inauspicious works. Many of these men put you under control with certain works. They can play you around. So as we just come back to our discourse here, my friends, my point I want to make in saying all of this is learn to perform the Hawan by yourself competently. Try to understand all the ingredients, try to understand it for yourself. And a few times a year, maybe once a year, twice a year, maybe every 3-4 months, you perform it in your home with your family. And there you have certainty. This is what I'm doing, and this is how Agni and these Devatas will bless me. You don't have to worry, oh, someone came to do something, someone came to do that. So my friends, Hawan is important. Hawan is important to your sadhana, but also you have to remember all these points as well. So my friends, of course, I want to conclude this program for today. Sitaramam Shakti, until we meet again, my friends. May the blessings of the Divine Mother, may the blessings of the Devatas be with all of you. I'm taking my leave. Until we meet again on Friday morning, my friends, have a safe week ahead.
मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे, आन पड़ा अब तेरे द्वारे। हे बजरंग बली हनुमान, हे महावीर करो कल्याण। हे महावीर करो कल्याण। मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे, आन पड़ा अब तेरे द्वारे। हे बजरंग बली हनुमान, हे महावीर करो कल्याण। हे महावीर करो कल्याण। तीनों लोक तेरा जियारा, दुखियों का तूने काज संवारा। तीनों लोक तेरा जियारा, दुखियों का तूने काज संवारा। हे जगवंदन केसरी नंदन, हे जगवंदन केसरी नंदन। कष्ट हरो हे कृपा निधान, कष्ट हरो हे कृपा निधान। मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे, आन पड़ा अब तेरे द्वारे। हे बजरंग बली हनुमान, हे महावीर करो कल्याण। हे महावीर करो कल्याण। तेरे द्वारे जो भी आया, खाली नहीं कोई लौटाया। तेरे द्वारे जो भी आया, खाली नहीं कोई लौटाया। दुर्गम काज बना बनहारे, दुर्गम काज बना बनहारे। मंगलमय दियो वरदान, मंगलमय दियो वरदान। मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे, आन पड़ा अब तेरे द्वारे। हे बजरंग बली पीर करो कल्याण।